everybody, me again.
I've been doing this a long time.
Just a quick reminder, if you're tweeting any photos of the events today, if you could use the hashtag Bairns Not Bombs or the hashtag Scrap Trident, because it's trending throughout the UK. So solidarity with the rest of the people around the UK that also want to get rid of these nuclear weapons. So our next speaker today is Katie Clark, who's a Labour MP and who has consistently voted against Trident. She's a rebel and she's saying no to Trident. So I want you to give her a really warm welcome today because she stood up for it.
Well, I'm not just a rebel on Trident, and I've got to say I've been on demonstrations like this for more decades than I care to remember, but I don't think I've seen a more colourful George Square than I see today. It's absolutely great to see so many people here. They tell us that Trident is an independent nuclear deterrent. Well, it's not independent. Both technically and politically, it's reliant on the United States of America, and it cannot be used without their authority. Those nuclear weapons can never be used, because if they are, their destructive potential will be so immense. And it's not a deterrent. It's of no use whatsoever for the major threats that we face in the world today, of terrorism, of all the insecurities of global hunger, and of climate change. All of the arguments that are put forward as to why we should have nuclear weapons are the same arguments that can be used for any country on this planet to have nuclear weapons. And the reality is, the more countries that have nuclear weapons, the more likely they will be used, either deliberately or by accident. All of the political parties, including my own, I think the SNP, I don't know, because they haven't voted on the issue when we voted on it in Parliament, are saying they want to spend at least 2% of our gross national product on defence. Trident's included in that at the moment.
It's one of mine. I'll pay them off.
I don't believe that we should be spending £100 billion on nuclear weapons, but more than that, I want to see it spent on what we need. The reality is, children in every part of this land are reliant on food banks. Hundreds of thousands of people have had their benefits sanctioned, and I'm sure Nuala would be able to tell us more about that. What I want to see that money spent on is building council houses, investing in our welfare state, in our hospitals, in our schools. I want to see money put into arms diversification to actually build the kind of socially useful economy that we all need. I've been a Member of Parliament for 10 years, and I voted against Trident and nuclear weapons on every occasion that I've been able to do so. If I am elected again, I will do that again, and I will work with the many Labour Party members up and down the country who are against Trident. Let's make sure that we build the alliances that we need to rid this country of nuclear weapons, to rid Europe of nuclear weapons, to rid the world of nuclear weapons. And let's start by dismantling all 225 of those nuclear warheads that are part of the Trident system. Thank you.
Hi. Yes.
Can I just make another quick safety announcement? See if the people over at the left over here could just move back slowly. It's my left actually, where I'm pointing. If you could just, there's a wee bit of pressure, if you could just move back slowly. The people that are quite near the stalls, just to relieve a wee bit of pressure. Thanks very much for your cooperation. I'll now just ask Angela, another one of my co-compeers, to introduce some other speakers.
Hello, George Square. My name's Angela McCormack. I'm going to have the pleasure and the privilege to be here today and introduce another three of our wonderful speakers at today's absolutely amazing event. I'm a member of the Stop the War Coalition, Scottish CND, and like many of us here today, we have marched, and what a glorious turnout here today, and we will march until every last one of those weapons on the Clyde is removed, dismantled, and put in the scrap heap. Our campaign has involved support for many of the trade unionists and activists up and down the country, so it gives me great pleasure to introduce Anne Henderson. She's the Assistant Secretary of the Scottish Trade Union Congress, so please put your hands together and give a big welcome to Anne Henderson. Thank you.
So thank you very much for the opportunity for the STUC to be here today. It is, of course, not the first time that the STUC and trade unions of Scotland have been on the streets opposing nuclear weapons in Scotland. In 1961, as some of you will remember, when the Tory government made the agreement that the United States could bring Polaris missiles to the Clyde, the STUC took action immediately, and the trade unions joined forces with many members of society on the streets against that. By 1963, the STUC conference in Dunoon had adopted a clear position, unilateral nuclear disarmament, and has gone on throughout the years to campaign against nuclear weapons. And I know that many of you will have been with myself when I was a member of the National Union of Railwaymen and other trade unions in London in the 1980s campaigning against cruise missiles. In 2007, Scottish CND and the STUC worked together on an important report that challenged some of the statistics that are thrown around about the number of jobs that would be lost were Trident replacement to not go ahead. And that is, of course, a really important discussion for all of us, for the families and the workers who will be affected by the decision to remove the base, to remove Trident and remove nuclear warheads. And looking at diversification and how we use the skills and talents of all the workers in our country is extremely important. And I think it's quite urgent that the governments allocate resources and research included to look at what that diversification would look like. We know that we could do, as we've heard today, better things with the money that we have available for public spending. But we need to look at how we're going to do that using the skills that our workforce has. In last year, in the run-up to the referendum, we were part of a very big discussion around what would a just Scotland look like. And we made clear at the STUC with all our trade unions that just Scotland was committed to nuclear disarmament, but also to that transition plan on spending. But we need state intervention, we need public ownership of the energy industry, and we need public ownership of our resources. And I just refer people as well to the critical situation now facing the workers at Longannet. Another case for state intervention to save workers' jobs. I want to just end with going back to 1963. That STUC conference in 1963 heard from Mick McGahey, the National Union of Mine Workers, speaking against Polaris on the Clyde. And this is what the decision of what he said. The conference is opposed in every way to the government's efforts in having an independent nuclear deterrent. Congress views with disgust this hideous investment in Polaris submarines by the government, whose only possible use
is the massacre of workers and trade unionists in other lands. That stands true today. No replacement of Trident, no massacre of workers and trade unionists in other lands. We stand in solidarity with workers abroad. Thank you.
Thank you, Anne. Before I introduce the next speaker, I want to raise with you the question that this day is part of a period of action, and I want to encourage all of you to find out about the big blockade at Faz Lane, right at the heart of it, on the 13th of April. You can sign up, you can pledge, and all those that are involved in that civil resistance and that peaceful protest are encouraging people to get along and show support. Let's go to Faz Lane. Let's be humans for peace. Let's shut this down. So I encourage you to support the 13th of April, big blockade. And with that in mind, we chanted on the demo today, welfare not warfare, Bairns not bombs. Our next speaker, I want you to give her a big cheer. It's Sasha Callahan, an activist and campaigner from Disability History Scotland. Please welcome Sasha.
That's lovely. Okay, I may not be the most dangerous woman in Scotland, but I'm a very angry woman, and why not? At least the Daily Mail called me an emotive rabble-rouser. So let's see if we can raise a rabble. Right. Up until now, there has always been money for war. There has always been money for weapons. There has always been money for the bankers. There hasn't been anything for us as disabled people and the ordinary people of Scotland. And whilst that situation continues, whilst we continue to bankroll that neoliberal sex toy that is Trident, right, we are going to live in a Scotland of food banks, of sanctions, of sheriff officers on our doorsteps, of the bedroom tax, of poverty, of cold, of children who are isolated and lonely because of poverty, through no fault of their own at all. If we have the money for war, we have the money to do whatever we want. Whatever we want. So what do we want to see? With that £100 billion, £100 billion, what could we do with it? Well, for a start, we could stop talking about welfare, and we could start talking about a welfare state. We could start talking about social security. We could start talking about fairness, about equality, about justice, about everything that we've ever dreamed of. We live in a rich country, a really rich country, and we have children going to bed hungry. We have people begging on the streets of our capital city. We live in the most unequal society. We're starving whilst around us a tiny handful of people. They have everything, and there are people here who have nothing, and Trident symbolises that for me. So, when people say to me, okay, disabled people in Scotland, you don't like Trident, you don't want Trident, what do you stand for? Well, I'll say what we stand for. We stand for freedom. We stand for equality. We stand for justice. We stand for peace. We stand for a new Scotland. Solidarity!
What they want to do is get rid of the Americans.
As other speakers have said today, we are gathered here today and we're going to take this message out into our streets, our homes, our communities, our workplaces. So I would encourage people to look at the Scrap Trident webpage, sign the Scrap Trident pledge, and if you want to get yourself plenty of badges and stickers, I see many of you have done already, brilliant, then please do so and use that to get the word far and wide from all of us here today. Our next speaker is part of this Mood and a Change Scotland, that period of awakening, the raising of the Trident issue, the Bairns not bombs, the decision amongst many of us to not settle for the Scotland of inequalities and neoliberalism and war. So
thanks to all our speakers who have been very thought-provoking and have made excellent contributions to the event today. We're coming to a close, but there's a couple of important things to announce, and there's just a couple of other things to happen before you go. If I can just, and I make no apology for mentioning the blockade on Monday, April the 13th. There's a stall over there where you can go and sign up to get involved in the blockade. You don't have to go to the blockade and get arrested. You can go and support the people who are going to get arrested. You can go there and support. You can be part of it, so you can show solidarity. So please, before you go today, if you're able to make it on Monday the 13th of April, go over and sign up to be involved in the blockade.
But on that note, the experience of being carried off by four strapping great men in uniform is lovely. Honestly, give it a try.
Follow that, Patrick. Okay, it's also just to say that on April the 13th, there's a couple of solidarity events taking place in other parts of the United Kingdom. There's a vigil at Penzance in Cornwall in support of the blockade on the 13th of April, and two prospective parliamentary candidates, Lib Dem and the Greens, are supporting that vigil. There's also a vote out Trident evening of party and protest outside the Ministry of Defence on the same day, and that's called by CND in solidarity with the scrap Trident blockade at Fast Lane. So there's a couple of things going on there as well, and there's a few top class musicians that are going to be at that party outside the Ministry of Defence. So visit the blockade stall, but there's also a number of other organisations that have got stalls today, so if you've not already done so, please visit them before you go. And also, if you've not contributed to the collection, you've still got an opportunity to do it if you go over to the scrap Trident stall over to my left. We're also just asking, as a follow-on from today, that people write to their Westminster candidates and ask them to sign the pledge to scrap Trident and for a commitment to vote no to Trident replacement. So the fight very much goes on from today. And just to mention that if people are interested, Scottish CND are organising a leafleting and some campaigning work in Buchanan Street at 2:30 today. Anybody's welcome to join that at 2:30 for about an hour. Now, I don't want to say it anymore, but I want to introduce somebody who's made a very big contribution to the fight against nuclear weapons and also to the Scrap Trident campaign. I want to introduce Penny Stone, who I think is going to do a couple of songs, and that'll send us away, hopefully with renewed vigour, to continue the fight to scrap Trident. Thanks again to everybody that came, and thanks to all our wonderful speakers, and thanks to all the people that worked so hard, the stewards and everybody else that worked so hard to put today's event together.
Thank you very much. I'm here just to echo what everybody has said today, that we want to spend money on people and we don't want to spend it on war, and to give you the opportunity to bring your voice to it and to sing together. So there's two songs that we're going to sing together today. I would encourage you all to sing along. The first one's a new one, only I know it, so I'll teach it to you. And it goes, you get what you pay for, we won't pay for war, won't pay for killing, no Trident no more. We'll pay to help those that need something more. Free education, healthcare for all. So the words of that, you get what you pay for, we won't pay for war. Get what you pay for, we won't pay for war. Everybody? Get what you paid for, we won't pay for war. We won't pay for Trident, no killing no more. Won't pay for Trident, no killing no more. You get what you pay for. Get what you pay for, we won't pay for war. We won't pay for Trident, no killing no more. One more. Get what you pay for. We won't pay for war. Won't pay for Trident, no killing no more. We will pay to help those that need something more. We'll pay to help those that need something more. We will pay to help those that need something more. Free education and healthcare for all. Free education and healthcare for all. We will pay to help those that need something more. Free education and healthcare for all. You get what you pay for. Get what you pay for. We won't pay for war. Won't pay for Trident. Won't pay for Trident. No killing no more. We'll pay to help those that need something more. Free education and healthcare for all. We won't change. See a different way. We won't change. Do you hear what we're saying? Change the way you're doing business. Look around, try a different view. Look around, try a different view. Get what you pay for. We won't pay for war. Won't pay for killing. No Trident no more. We will pay to help those that need something more. Free education, healthcare for all. We won't change. See how many we are. We won't change. And we'll sing till you hear us change the way you're doing business. Human security we could make real. Human security we could make real. Get what you pay for. We won't pay for war. Won't pay for Trident, no killing no more. We'll pay to help those that need something more. Free education, healthcare for all. We put people before profits. We put Bairns before bombs. We put people before profits. We put Bairns before bombs. Everybody, we put people before profits. We put Bairns before bombs. We put people before profits. We put Bairns before bombs. That's your bit. We put people before profits. We put Bairns before bombs. If you believe it, sing it. People before profits. We put Bairns before bombs. Don't worry what notes come out. People before profits. We put Bairns before bombs. Carry on. We put people before profits. We put Bairns before bombs. We put people before profits. We put Bairns before bombs. One more. We put people before profits. We put Bairns before bombs. You get what you pay for. We won't pay for war. Won't pay for Trident, no killing no more. We'll pay to help those that need something more. Free education, healthcare for all. Try and keep it as close as I can. Okay, just before we sing this last song together, I would like to acknowledge that for the first time in my memory and in the memory of people older than me, all of the speakers today and the singers were women, apart from one who is a bisexual man. Welcome to diversity. Welcome to the organisers, the women who have organised forever in the peace movement, finally getting their say on the platform. I'm very proud to be part of that, and I'm very proud of the people who organised this day. Thank you. I believe that we can scrap Trident. I believe that we will be able to decommission Trident and that it won't exist. I believe that we shall overcome.
I want to talk to you. Damn it.
live in peace. We can live in peace. We can live in peace. We can live in peace someday. Oh, deep in my heart, I do believe we shall overcome. We shall overcome someday. We are not afraid today. We are not afraid. We are not afraid. We are not afraid today, not any day. Oh, deep in my heart, I do believe we shall overcome. We shall overcome someday. We shall overcome to finish. Everybody, we shall overcome. We shall overcome. We shall overcome someday. Oh, deep in my heart, I do believe we shall overcome someday. Look around, look at how strong we are. Thank you. And if you were umming and ahhing about coming to the blockade, welcome to come and sing. They'll be singing as well.
You're brilliant. Thanks very much. Thank you. Ascension.
There's people here today who are involved in a few weeks' time in organising a Hope Not Fear event, which is on the 25th of April. But it's just to acknowledge the fact that that event was going to take place today, but it was cancelled to help us get a maximum turnout today. So thanks to the organisers of that event, for making new arrangements. Can I just ask you just to give a big hand to Penny Stone, who I think finished off the rally in rousing fashion. And thanks again to everybody that's came today. Thanks to all the organisations that have taken part, the people that have dealt with the media, the stewards, and also we've had a really good sound system today. So thanks to everyone who's played a part in making the practical arrangements actually come to fruition. Thanks very much, and all the best to everybody. Scrap Trident!
Come on, Wall Street, don't go slow. My man was for it, don't go. There's plenty of money to be made. Mining army with the tools of trade. Just on the break if they drop the bomb. Drop it on the Viet Cong. And there's one.
Go away. Come on, get on me.
Don't ask me, I don't give a damn. Next stop is Vietnam. And it's 5, 6, 7. Open up early gates.
One, two, five.
Just to make a further announcement, I've been asked to say that the Hope Not Fear rally is here on April the 25th, and it starts at 11 and runs to 4. So that's April the 25th, 3 weeks today, 11 till 4.
You got in your enough.